Jake Morrison checked his uniform one more time. Everything had to be perfect today. This was his first time meeting aliens, and he wanted to make a good impression. He was nervous, but he tried not to show it. His hands shook a little as he adjusted his collar. The Earth ship called Horizon's Edge was now floating in space near the alien fleet. These aliens called themselves the Velkari. Nobody on Earth had ever seen them before. The diplomat said this meeting was very important. If things went well, humans and Velkari could become friends. If things went badly, well, nobody wanted to think about that. Jake was just a lieutenant. He did not understand why he was chosen for this mission. There were many officers with more experience. But Ambassador Kate Sullivan had picked him personally. She said he had a calm way about him. She said aliens might like that. Jake was not so sure about this, but orders were orders. The teleporter room was cold and bright. Jake stood with 5 other humans, all wearing their best uniforms. Kate Sullivan stood in front looking confident. She had done this kind of thing many times before, though never with completely new aliens. She gave them all a final look. "Remember," she said quietly, "be polite. Be respectful. Do not touch anything unless they say you can. And smile, but not too much. We do not want to scare them." Jake wondered if humans scared aliens. That seemed funny to him. Then the teleporter activated and his stomach did a flip. White light filled everything. When it cleared, they were somewhere else entirely. The alien ship was beautiful. The walls looked like they were made of crystal or glass. Light moved through them in colors Jake had never seen before. The air smelled sweet like flowers after rain. Everything was so clean it almost hurt to look at. Then he saw the aliens. The Velkari were tall, much taller than humans. Their skin had a soft glow to it like moonlight. They had 2 arms and 2 legs like humans, but that was where the similarities ended. Their eyes were large and seemed to hold entire galaxies inside them. They wore flowing clothes that moved even when there was no wind. One Velkari stepped forward. She was taller than all the others. She wore a crown made of silver metal that floated above her head without touching it. Jake knew immediately that this was their queen. Queen Lysara looked at each human slowly. When her eyes met Jake's, he felt something strange. It was like she could see right through him into his thoughts and feelings. But her eyes were not cold or cruel. They were sad. Very, very sad. Jake had never seen anyone look so lonely. Kate Sullivan stepped forward and bowed. She spoke in English, but a small device on her belt translated her words. "Your Majesty, we are honored to meet you. Earth sends its greetings and hopes for friendship between our peoples." The Queen's voice was musical when she spoke. "You are welcome here. We have watched your species for some time. You are young, but you show promise." The ceremony began. There were speeches. There were gifts exchanged. Earth had brought gold and diamonds, which seemed silly to Jake since the aliens probably had plenty of both. The Velkari gave them technology that human scientists would study for years. Everything was going well. Too well. Jake should have known something would go wrong. It happened during the cultural exchange. The Velkari wanted to show the humans one of their traditional rituals. It involved standing in a circle and holding hands. Kate Sullivan nodded for everyone to participate. It seemed harmless enough. Jake found himself standing next to the Queen. He had not planned this, but the circle formed that way. When she took his hand, he felt warmth spread up his arm. Her hand was soft and warm, not cold like he expected. The Velkari began to sing. Their voices blended together in harmony. The crystal walls began to glow brighter. Then something went wrong. The light grew too bright. Jake felt dizzy. The Queen's hand tightened on his. Suddenly there was a flash. Silver light shot out from the Queen and wrapped around Jake. He could not move. He could not breathe. The light pushed into his chest, into his head, into his very soul. He heard the Queen gasp. Then it was over. The light faded. Jake could breathe again. But something was different. Very different. He could feel the Queen's emotions. Her loneliness crashed over him like a wave. Centuries of being alone, of ruling by herself, of having no one who truly understood her. The weight of it nearly brought Jake to his knees, and he knew she could feel him too. His confusion, his fear, but also his compassion. His instinct to help someone who was hurting. His very human need to fix things. Kate Sullivan was shouting something. The Velkari advisors were rushing forward. But Jake only heard the Queen's voice in his mind. "What have I done?" she whispered. The words appeared in his thoughts, not his ears. An old Velkari with white hair pushed through the crowd. She examined Jake and the Queen with wide eyes. Then she said something in their language that made all the other aliens go silent. Kate pulled Jake aside. Her face was pale. "Jake, we have a problem." "A big problem. What happened?" Jake asked. He could still feel the Queen's presence in his mind. It was like she was standing right beside him even though she was across the room. "That ritual," Kate said. "It was not supposed to do that. It was just a greeting ceremony. But somehow it activated an ancient bonding ritual. You and the Queen are now connected." Jake's stomach dropped. "Connected how?" "I do not know yet. But the Velkari are saying that if we break the bond now, it will be seen as a terrible insult. It could mean war." Jake looked over at the Queen. She was standing very still, her advisors talking rapidly around her. But her eyes were on him. Through their connection, he felt her hope. Tiny and fragile like a candle flame in the dark. She had not felt hope in a very long time. Kate was still talking. "They are saying we need a volunteer, someone who will stay and complete the bonding ritual properly. It will take 30 days, they say. Then the bond will fade naturally and you can come home." Jake already knew what he had to do. He could feel how important this was. Not just for Earth and the Velkari, but for the sad Queen who had been alone for so long. "I will do it," he said. Kate looked relieved and worried at the same time. "Are you sure?" Jake nodded. Through the bond, he felt the Queen's surprise and gratitude. 30 days, he thought. How hard could it be? He would soon learn that he had made a choice that would change his entire life. The first week was strange beyond anything Jake had ever experienced. He was given rooms on the Velkari flagship that were bigger than his entire apartment back on Earth. The walls were made of that same crystal material, and they changed colors based on his mood. When he was calm, they glowed blue. When he was nervous, they turned purple. The bond with Queen Lysera was always there. He could feel her emotions like background music in his mind. Sometimes it was overwhelming. He would be eating breakfast and suddenly feel her stress about some political decision. He would be trying to sleep and sense her loneliness keeping her awake. But it went both ways. She could feel him too. Once he woke up from a nightmare about the bonding ceremony going wrong. Before he was fully awake, she was at his door. She did not say anything. She just sat with him until his heart stopped racing. Her presence was comforting, even though she was the reason for the nightmare. They were required to spend time together every day. It was part of the bonding ritual. At first, the meetings were formal and awkward. They would sit in her throne room while advisors watched. They would make small talk about the weather or Earth customs. It felt like the worst first date in history, but slowly, things changed. Lysera started to relax around him. She would dismiss her advisors and they would talk more freely. Jake learned that she had ruled for over 300 years. She had seen empires rise and fall. She had made decisions that saved billions of lives and decisions that she still regretted. Being a queen is very lonely, she told him one evening. They were in the observation room looking at the stars. Everyone treats you like you are not real, like you are just a symbol or a statue. No one sees the person underneath. Jake understood that more than she knew. Being bonded to her meant he felt everything. Her fear of making wrong choices. Her exhaustion from never being able to rest. Her desperate wish to just be normal for one day. People do the same thing to soldiers sometimes, Jake said. They see the uniform, not the person. They forget that we get scared too. Lysera looked at him with surprise. Through the bond, he felt her realize that he truly understood her. For the first time in centuries, someone saw her as she really was. After that, their time together became easier. They started meeting not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Lysera would show him different parts of her ship. She would point out stars and tell him stories about the civilizations that lived near them. Some of the stories were happy. Many were sad. Jake would tell her about Earth. He told her about his family, about his sister Lisa, who wanted to be a pilot. He told her about his mother Karen, who made the best apple pie in the world. He told her about baseball, and she was very confused about why humans would hit a ball with a stick and then run in a circle. But what is the purpose? She asked, genuinely puzzled. Fun, Jake said. That is the whole purpose. Just fun. This concept seemed to fascinate her. The Velkari did not do things just for fun. Everything had a purpose, a meaning, a place in society. The idea of doing something pointless just because it made you happy was completely foreign to her. Your people sound very free, she said quietly. Through the bond, Jake felt her envy. The nights were the hardest. That was when Lysara was most alone. Her duties were done and she would retreat to her chambers. The weight of everything would crash down on her. Jake could feel it from his own rooms. That crushing loneliness that made her want to scream. One night he could not take it anymore. He went to her chambers. The guards looked uncertain, but they let him pass. He found her standing by her window looking at the stars with tears on her face. "You should not see me like this," she said, quickly wiping her eyes. "The bond means I feel it anyway," Jake replied. "You do not have to hide from me." She looked at him for a long moment. Then she started to cry properly, not the quiet tears from before, but deep sobs that shook her whole body. Jake did the only thing he could think of. He hugged her. She was much taller than him, so it was a bit awkward. But she leaned down and buried her face in his shoulder. Through the bond, he felt her relief. Someone was finally here. Someone finally cared. After that night, things between them changed again. The bond grew stronger. Jake started to understand her thoughts more clearly. Sometimes they would communicate without words at all. He would look at her during a boring council meeting and make a funny face. She would sense his amusement and have to hide her smile. Her advisors noticed. Chief Counselor Vareth pulled Jake aside one day. "The Queen is different," Vareth said. His tone was not accusing, just observing. "In 300 years I have never seen her smile so much. You are good for her." But there was worry in the old counselor's eyes. Jake understood why. The bond was supposed to be temporary. In 3 more weeks it would be broken and Jake would go home. What would happen to Lysara then? Jake tried not to think about it. He focused on the present. They started spending more time together. Lysara would take breaks from her duties to have lunch with him. She started teaching him her language. He taught her English slang, which she used incorrectly in ways that made him laugh. One day, Captain Danny Wright called from the horizon's edge. "How are you holding up, Morrison?" He asked. "Fine," Jake said. "Just 3 more weeks, right?" But even as he said it, he felt a twist in his chest. 3 more weeks and this would all end. The bond would fade. He would go back to his normal life. Lysara would go back to being alone. Through the bond, he felt her listening to his conversation. He felt her sadness spike. She did not want him to leave. The realization hit him hard. She was already dreading the day he would go. That evening, they sat together in silence. There was so much to say, but neither of them knew how to say it. Jake was starting to care about her. Really care. Not because of the bond, but because of who she was. She was kind and wise and carried more weight than anyone should have to carry alone. And through the bond, he knew she felt the same about him. She saw past his rank and his species. She saw Jake, the person who made terrible jokes and missed his family and somehow made her feel less alone. The problem was becoming clear. The bond was supposed to be temporary, but what they were feeling was not temporary at all. It was growing stronger every day. In 2 weeks, they would have to say goodbye. Neither of them knew how they would survive it, but they did not talk about it. Not yet. Instead, they pretended that these moments would last forever. They pretended that the countdown was not happening. They pretended that their hearts were not already breaking. The 30th day arrived too quickly. Jake woke up knowing that this was supposed to be his last day with Lysara. The ritual chamber was prepared. The unbonding ceremony would happen at sunset. Then he would go back to the horizon's edge and return to Earth. He should have been happy. He should have been excited to go home. Instead, he felt like someone had carved out part of his chest. Through the bond, he could feel Lysara. She was awake too. She had been awake all night. Her emotions were a storm of sadness, fear, and something else. Something that felt like determination. Jake got dressed slowly. He put on his Earth uniform for the first time in a month. It felt strange now, like it belonged to someone else. He looked at himself in the mirror and barely recognized the person staring back. Something in his eyes had changed. There was a knock on his door. When he opened it, Lysara was standing there. She was not wearing her crown or her royal robes. She looked almost normal, almost human, almost like just a woman instead of a queen. "Can we talk?" she asked. Her voice was quiet. "Before the ceremony?" Jake nodded. They walked together through the ship in silence. Guards followed at a distance, but Lysara ignored them. She led Jake to the observation deck, their special place, the place where they had spent so many evenings talking and laughing and just being together. The stars outside looked cold and distant. Jake had never felt so far from home. But home was a confusing word now. Was home Earth where his family was? Or was home here with Lysara? They stood side by side, not touching, not speaking. Through the bond, Jake could feel her gathering her courage. She was going to say something important, something that scared her. Finally, she turned to face him. Her eyes were bright with unshed tears. "I have a question to ask you," she said, "and I need you to answer honestly. Can you do that?" "Always," Jake said. "Do you want to leave?" The question hung in the air between them. Jake opened his mouth, then closed it. He wanted to say yes. He wanted to say that of course he wanted to go home. That was the plan. That was always the plan. But through the bond she would know if he was lying. And the truth was complicated. "Part of me does," he admitted. "I miss my family. I miss Earth. I miss things being simple." Lysara nodded. Her sadness deepened. But Jake was not finished. "But part of me wants to stay," he continued. "A big part. Being here with you, it feels right in a way I cannot explain. When I think about leaving, about never seeing you again, it hurts." Through the bond, he felt her hope flare bright. She took a step closer to him. "Then stay," she said. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Not because of the ritual. Not because of duty or diplomacy. Stay because you choose to. Stay with me." Jake's heart was racing. "Lysara, I cannot just stay. I have a job. I have a life back on Earth, my family." "I know," she interrupted. "I know I am asking too much. But Jake, I have lived for 300 years. I have met thousands of people. And in all that time I have never felt what I feel with you. You see me. Not the queen. Not the symbol, just me. And I do not want to lose that. I do not want to lose you." She was crying now. Jake reached up and gently wiped away her tears. Through the bond, he felt everything she was feeling. The depth of her affection for him. Her terror of being alone again. Her shame at being so selfish. "I am sorry," she said. "This is not fair to you. You should go. You should live your life. I should not ask you to give up everything for me." But even as she said it, Jake could feel her desperate hope that he would stay anyway. And that was when he understood something important. Lysara was not just asking him to stay. She was asking him to choose her. To pick her over everything else. And if he left now, she would let him go. She would not stop him. But it would break her. "What if I do stay?" Jake asked slowly. "What would that look like?" Lysara looked up at him. Through the bond, he felt her surprise. She had not expected him to even consider it. "You would be my consort," she said. "Not temporarily, permanently. You would stand beside me. Help me rule. Be my partner in everything. And I could still visit Earth? See my family?" "Yes," she said quickly. "Of course. I would never keep you prisoner. You would be free to come and go. I just need to know that you would come back. That I would not be alone again." Jake thought about his life on Earth, his small apartment, his routine missions, his friends at the bar on Friday nights. It was a good life. A safe life. A normal life. Then he thought about the past month. The conversations with Lysara. The way she laughed at his jokes. The way she trusted him with her fears. The way she made him feel like he mattered. Like he was part of something bigger than himself. Through the bond, he examined his feelings carefully. Was this the bond talking? Or was it really him? He tried to imagine his life without her in it. Waking up and not feeling her presence in his mind. Never seeing her smile again. Never hearing her terrible attempts at English slang. The thought made him feel empty. "I need to think about it," he said finally. "This is too big to decide right now." Lysara nodded. She tried to hide her disappointment, but the bond betrayed her. Jake felt it like a knife in his chest. "The ceremony is in 3 hours," she said quietly. "If you do not come to the ritual chamber, I will understand. I will tell my people that you chose to leave. There will be no shame, no anger. I promise." She turned to leave, but Jake caught her hand. She looked back at him with those galaxy eyes so full of hope and fear. "Lysara," he said, "no matter what I decide, you need to know something. These past 30 days have been the best of my life. You are amazing. And whoever ends up by your side, they will be the luckiest person in the universe." Through the bond, he felt her heart break a little, because she did not want just anyone by her side. She wanted him. She pulled her hand away gently and left. Jake stood alone on the observation deck, watching the stars and trying to figure out what to do. His heart said stay. His head said go. and he had 3 hours to decide which one to listen to. Back on the horizon's edge, Ambassador Kate Sullivan was preparing for his return. Captain Danny Wright was getting his old room ready. His family on Earth was excited to see him. Everything was waiting for him to come home. But Jake was not sure where home was anymore, and that was the scariest thing of all. Jake stood outside the ritual chamber. Through the crystal walls he could see Lysera waiting inside. She stood alone in the center, her head bowed. The chamber was filled with soft light. This was where the bond would be broken. He had made his decision, or at least he thought he had. His hand was on the door, but he could not make himself go inside. Through the bond, Lysera felt his presence. She looked up and their eyes met through the wall. She gave him a small, sad smile. She thought he had come to say goodbye, to break the bond and go home. Through their connection, he felt her trying to be brave, trying to accept what was coming. Jake's communicator buzzed. It was Kate Sullivan. "Morrison, where are you?" Her voice sounded worried. "The horizon's edge is ready to leave. We need you back on board." "I know," Jake said quietly. "I am at the ritual chamber now." "Good. I know this has been hard, but you did your duty. Earth is proud of you. Your family is waiting to see you." His family. Jake thought about his mother. She made his favorite foods and always worried about him. His sister Lisa was probably planning a big welcome home party. His friends wanted to hear all about the aliens. But when he tried to picture himself at that party telling those stories, he felt wrong. Like he would be pretending. Like he would be acting out a role in someone else's life. "Kate," Jake said slowly, "what if I do not want to come back?" There was a long silence on the other end. When Kate spoke again, her voice was very careful. "Jake, is the bond affecting your judgment? We were warned this might happen. The Velkari bonds can be very powerful. They can make you feel things that are not real." "What if they are real, though?" Jake asked. "What if what I feel is actually me, not just the bond?" "Jake, you have a career, a life. You cannot just throw that away for an alien queen you have known for 1 month. Cannot I?" Jake looked through the wall at Lysera. She was watching him with those sad eyes. "What is the point of a career if I am miserable? What is the point of a life if it feels empty?" Kate sighed. "You are thinking with your heart, not your head." "That is dangerous, maybe," Jake admitted. "But my head has been making decisions for me my whole life. Maybe it is time my heart got a turn." He ended the call before Kate could respond. Through the bond, he felt Lysera's confusion. She had heard his side of the conversation. She was trying not to hope, trying not to let herself believe what his words might mean. Jake took a deep breath. He walked into the ritual chamber. Lysera stood very still. The silver light that would break their bond was already gathering around her. Elder Siva, the old Velkari who had explained the bond, stood nearby. Several advisors waited along the walls. "You came," Lysera said softly. Through the bond, Jake felt her heart breaking. She thought this was goodbye. "I came," Jake agreed. He walked across the chamber until he stood right in front of her. "But not to break the bond." Lysera's eyes went wide. Around the room, the advisors started whispering. Elder Siva moved forward, her old face showing surprise. "Lieutenant Morrison," Siva said carefully, "do you understand what you are saying? If you do not break the bond now, it will become permanent. There will be no going back." "I understand," Jake said. He was looking at Lysera, only at Lysera. "I am saying I want it to be permanent. I am saying I choose to stay." Through the bond, he felt Lysera's shock, her joy, her disbelief. She raised her hands to her mouth and tears started falling down her face. But these were not sad tears. These were happy tears. "You are sure?" she whispered. "Jake, you are giving up everything. Your home, your family, your whole life." "No," Jake said firmly. "I am not giving up anything. I am adding to my life. I will still visit Earth, I will still see my family, but my home is here now. With you." He reached out and took her hands. They were shaking. Through the bond, he felt her happiness. It was so bright, so strong, it almost hurt. She had been alone for so long. And now finally she would not be alone anymore. "Are you sure this is what you want?" she asked again. She needed to hear it one more time, needed to know he was certain. "I have never been more sure of anything in my life," Jake said. Elder Siva stepped forward. "If this is truly your choice, then we must complete the permanent bonding ritual. It is different from the temporary one, stronger. It will link you both on a level that cannot be broken. You will always feel each other, always know each other's hearts. Are you both willing?" Jake and Lysera looked at each other. Through the bond, no words were needed. They both knew. This was right. This was meant to be, yes, they said together. The ritual was beautiful. Silver and gold light wrapped around them both. Jake felt the bond deepen, strengthen, grow roots into his very soul. He felt Lysera's 300 years of memories, her joys and sorrows, her victories and regrets. And she felt all of him, every moment of his 28 years, every dream and fear. When it was done, they were no longer just two people connected by a ritual. They were partners, truly and completely. The advisors bowed. Even Sternvarth had tears in his eyes. They had not seen their queen this happy in centuries, but the happiness did not last long. Jake's communicator started buzzing again, and again, and again. He finally answered it. Kate Sullivan's voice was angry. "Morrison, what the hell did you just do? Earth Command is demanding answers. They are saying you have been compromised. They want you back immediately." "I am not coming back," Jake said calmly. "I am staying here, with Lysera. This is my choice." "This is not about choice," Kate said. "You are a military officer. You do not get to just decide to live with aliens because you have feelings. We have protocols. We have procedures." "Then I resign," Jake said. The words came out easier than he expected. "Effective immediately. I am no longer a lieutenant. I am no longer under Earth's command." There was shocked silence. Then Kate's voice came back, harder and colder than before. "You are making a huge mistake, Morrison, and Earth will not forget it." She ended the call. Jake looked at Lysera. Through the bond, he felt her worry. "Did I just start a war?" he asked. "I do not know," she admitted, "but we will face it together." She took his hand. And standing there in the ritual chamber with the silver light still fading around them, Jake knew he had made the right choice, even if it was the hardest one he would ever make. But they did not know what was coming. Earth was not going to let this go easily. And Queen Lysera was about to learn that when you take something humans care about, they do not give up without a fight. The real problems were just beginning. The next 3 days were chaos. Earth Command sent angry messages every hour. They said Jake had been brainwashed. They said the bond was controlling his mind. They demanded that Lysera release him immediately or face consequences. Lysera tried to explain. She sent diplomatic messages saying Jake had chosen freely. She offered to let Earth doctors examine him. She even offered to let his family visit to see that he was okay. But Earth Command did not want to listen. They wanted their officer back. Jake felt terrible. He had not meant to cause a crisis. He had just wanted to follow his heart. But now 2 civilizations were arguing because of him. "Maybe I should go back," he said to Lysera one night. They were in her private chambers. "Just for a little while. Just to prove I am okay. Then they will calm down." Through the bond, Lysera felt his conflict. Part of him did want to see his family, wanted to prove to everyone that he was fine. But she also felt his fear, his worry that once he was back on Earth, they would find a way to keep him there. "If you want to go, I will not stop you," she said quietly. "But Jake, you need to understand something. Earth Command is scared. They do not understand the bond. They think I have stolen you. If you go back, they might not let you return." "They cannot do that," Jake protested. "I am not their property. You were their officer, and to them you are still one of their people." Lysera took his hand. "I have dealt with governments for 300 years. When they are scared, they do not think clearly. They make bad choices." As if to prove her point, the next message from Earth was not from Kate Sullivan or Captain Wright. It was from Commander Ryan Mitchell, head of Earth's military operations. His face on the screen was hard and angry. "Queen Lysera," he said coldly, "we have given you time to release Lieutenant Morrison. You have refused. Therefore, we are officially declaring him a hostage. We are sending an extraction team. If you interfere, it will be considered an act of war." The message ended. Lysera's face went pale. Around them, her advisors started talking all at once. Vareth was furious. "This is unacceptable," he said. "They cannot just invade our ship and take our people. The lieutenant is your bonded consort now. He is under our protection." "Our people?" Jake asked quietly. The words hit him hard. He was no longer just human. He was part of the Velkari now too. Lysera silenced her advisors with a gesture. She looked at Jake. Through the bond, he felt her fear. Not for herself, but for him. She was terrified that he would be taken away. "What do you want to do?" she asked him. It was a simple question, but it meant everything. She was not making the decision for him. She was not ordering her guards to lock him up for his own safety. She was trusting him to choose. Even now, when everything was falling apart, she was giving him freedom. Jake loved her for that. "I want to talk to them," he said, face to face. "Let me go to the horizon's edge. Let me explain everything. If they see that I am okay, that I am happy, maybe they will understand. And if they do not let you come back," Jake touched her face gently, "then I will find a way. Because my home is with you now. Nothing is going to change that." 3 hours later, Jake stood in the teleporter room again. It felt like a lifetime since he had first arrived on the Valkyrie ship. He was wearing his Earth uniform, but it felt wrong now. Like a costume, Lysara stood with him. She wanted to be strong, but through the bond, Jake felt her terror. She was sure this was the last time she would see him. "I will come back," he promised. "I swear it," she kissed him. It was the first time they had kissed, and it was desperate and sad and full of love. When they pulled apart, both of them had tears in their eyes. Then the teleporter activated, and Jake was back on the horizon's edge. The first face he saw was Kate Sullivan. She looked tired and worried. Behind her stood Commander Mitchell and a team of armed guards. They were treating him like a threat. "Jake," Kate said carefully, "we need to talk, privately." They brought him to a medical bay. A doctor examined him for 2 hours, scanning his brain and running tests. Jake cooperated with everything. He had nothing to hide. Finally, the doctor gave his report. "His brain chemistry is altered. The bond has created new neural pathways, but there is no evidence of mind control or coercion. He appears to be making his own choices." Commander Mitchell did not look happy with this news. Just because it is not technically mind control does not mean he is thinking clearly. That thing in his head is affecting his judgment. "That thing is part of me now," Jake said firmly, "and I am thinking more clearly than I ever have. I love her, and I am not coming back to Earth. Not permanently." "You do not have a choice," Mitchell said coldly. "You are still a military officer. Your resignation has not been accepted. You will remain on this ship until we return to Earth." Jake felt anger rise in his chest. "You cannot do this. We can and we will. You have been compromised. For your own safety, you will be confined to quarters." The guards moved to take him, but before they could, alarms started blaring throughout the ship. Captain Wright's voice came over the intercom. "Commander Mitchell, we have a situation. The Valkyrie fleet has surrounded us. They are demanding we return Lieutenant Morrison immediately." Through the bond, Jake felt Lysara. She was on her command throne, every bit the powerful queen. She was not going to let him be taken. Even if it meant war, Mitchell's face turned red. "She is threatening us?" "I think she is protecting what is hers," Kate said quietly. "Just like we are trying to protect what is ours." Jake made a decision. He pushed past the guards and ran to the communications station. Before anyone could stop him, he opened a channel to the Valkyrie flagship. "Lysara, do not do this," he said urgently. "I'm okay. Stand down, please." Her face appeared on the screen. She looked fierce and terrified at the same time. "They will not let you go." "Then I will make them," Jake said. He turned to face Commander Mitchell and everyone watching. "You want to know if the bond controls me? Fine, break it." Elder Siva said permanent bonds can be broken. "It is dangerous, but it is possible. Break the bond right now and I will still choose to go back to her. Because what I feel is not the bond. It is me. It is love." The room went silent. Mitchell stared at him. Kate looked shocked. "You would risk your life to prove a point?" Mitchell asked. "I would risk my life to prove I am free," Jake said, "and that my choice is real." Through the bond, he felt Lysara's fear spike, but also her pride, her love. She understood what he was trying to do. Kate Sullivan stepped forward. "Commander, maybe we need to accept that this is not our decision to make." Jake is an adult. He fell in love. Yes, it is complicated. Yes, it is unprecedented. But is it really worth going to war over? Mitchell looked around the room. The guards looked uncomfortable. The doctor looked uncertain. Nobody wanted a war, especially not over one man's heart. Finally, Mitchell sighed. "Fine, Morrison, you are free to go. Your resignation is accepted. But understand this. Once you leave this ship, you are no longer under Earth's protection. Whatever happens to you out there is on you." "I understand," Jake said. He walked to the teleporter room. Kate followed him. "Are you sure about this?" she asked. "Really sure?" I have never been more sure of anything, Jake said. She hugged him. Then be happy, Jake, you deserve it. The teleporter activated. White light surrounded him. And when it faded, he was back on the Velkari flagship. Lysara was there, waiting. When she saw him, she ran forward and threw her arms around him. Through the bond, Jake felt her joy, her relief, her overwhelming love. You came back, she whispered. I will always come back, he promised. The weeks that followed were not easy. Earth was upset. There were diplomatic complications. But slowly things settled. Earth Command realized that having someone close to the Velkari Queen might actually be useful. Jake's family was allowed to visit, and while his mother cried at first, she eventually accepted his choice. His sister Lisa thought the whole thing was incredibly romantic. Jake and Lysara built a life together. He helped her rule. He taught her about humanity. She taught him about the stars. They were partners in every sense of the word. And on quiet nights when they stood together on the observation deck, Jake would think about how a simple diplomatic mission had changed his entire life. He had gone to the stars as a lonely lieutenant, and he had found something he never expected. He had found home, not in a place but in a person, and that made all the difference. Years later, when other humans asked him if he regretted his choice, Jake would just smile and say no. Because some things are worth risking everything for, and love, true love that sees you for who you really are, is one of them. That is the real lesson. Not all stories end on Earth. Some of them end in the stars with an alien queen and a stubborn human who refused to let fear decide his future. And they lived happily among the cosmos together.